Hey guys, welcome back for Week 14 predictions this time. We're going to look at Week 13 matchups and kind of predict Week 14 like normal. So let's get started with the Thursday night game. Seahawks and Cowboys. I've never seen so much laundry on the field. Like, honestly. Like, you couldn't touch a receiver. It was kind of bad. It wasn't fun to watch at all.
That was a game I didn't watch, but heard that there was a lot of laundry.
I watched the entire game. I was so ticked off.
I think one of the things though is both are fairly highly penalized teams.
Yeah, I think Cowboys are number 1, Seahawks are number 2, or they're flipped. I don't remember, but they're definitely 1 and 2. I think statistically wise.
So,
I guess it was kind of a given going into that, but why? Like you couldn't go at least 5 plays without at least one flag somewhere in there. It was getting so bad. It was like 2 per play or something like that. I don't know, but yeah, I mean overall, Gino and Dak, they went off. It was an all offense game. It was really entertaining for the most part. I mean, Seattle defense they stepped up to a degree. They got 4 sacks, but that was about it. Metcalf got 3 touchdowns for 134 yards, which is pretty damn good. Pollard, Lamb, and Ferguson and Cooks got a touchdown that night. So it was a very high-scoring offense, but it's unfortunate that it was scrutinized by a lot of ref ball. Honestly, that game could have gone in either way. Seattle could have won it, but they decided to go for that fourth and, what was it, 1? I don't know why they did that. They know Dallas's defense was good. And they also let Micah Parsons, open on that play. Like, they intentionally let Parsons be unblocked, which is...
It was a part of the play call.
I don't understand the play call.
It was supposed to be, if I remember correctly, I believe it was supposed to be DJ Dallas was supposed to get over, chip him, and then go on a dump-off route, but he just didn't get there in time because Micah Parsons he's really fast.
Okay.
That's what my understanding of the design was from what I've heard.
Interesting.
Obviously didn't work, but...
No, that was not working anytime soon. But it set a record, averaged 15.26 million viewers, the most on Prime Video and most streamed game in NFL history. So it's
really
it was pretty good numbers. So Prime Video has the placeholder for Thursday Night Football, and I hope they continue to have that because it's a good marketing campaign at least. But that's just my opinion. Anything else?
Yeah, I'm just curious on your take. This is the thing that I found super interesting going into this game was the narrative of there's my narrative of Dallas and then there's everyone else's narrative of Dallas.
Yeah.
Which you've stated as well as that Dallas can't beat a team over 500 or better. And well, they did. So
they did, but it was very, very sloppy.
Yeah, and I would say that's why compared to my narrative, I've said it several times in weeks past, is that it's not that they can't beat teams 500 or better. It's that their defense doesn't perform well against actually good offenses. Which is what we saw with them.
Yeah, so I imagine it's going to get a lot harder for Dallas if they can't keep up with that. I do agree to the extent that Prescott should actually be in the MVP conversation right now. I hate to admit it. He should be at least in the conversation, if not one of the top prospects. I would rather have Tyreek Hill get it, just because we're tired of quarterbacks getting the MVP every single year. but he's at least in the conversation. He's putting up numbers. Sure, it's against really bad teams or mediocre teams or whatever you want to call them, but at least he's putting up the numbers. Then again, Purdy's also doing that. Hurts is also doing that. A couple more are doing that, but that's about it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends on your perspective, but at least he's in the conversation for once, and the first time in like, I don't know, years. So
The MVP race is very interesting because
tight.
the top 3 people in the MVP race is why I have an issue with the MVP race. I believe after Sunday it was Purdy at 1, Hurts at 2, Dak at 3. And my entire problem with it is I don't think any of the quarterbacks should be at the top because none of the yeah, they're good quarterbacks, and Purdy and Hurts have been playing really well. Dak is playing better now. He started off really slow. But even Purdy and Hurts is like, yeah, but they're still not putting up great numbers. Like as far compared to like years past, like MVPs,
yeah,
it's not that good. But
Well,
then you
this-
compare it to like CMC and Tyreek Hill, who are having like career years.
careers. Yeah, that's
And
why I
it's
want
like-
Hill.
What, Hill or McCaffrey? Well, McCaffrey's what on pace to.
He's on pace on something. This man is trying to break every record in the NFL. Same with Tyreek Hill. Honestly, if either of them get it, I won't be mad.
I'll
Like,
be mad if
honestly.
they don't get it.
What? Yeah. Honestly, I'd be mad if they don't get it. But I just think a non QB player should be able to get it for once, especially one of those two, because they've put up numbers. They've been consistent. Tyreek is about to break how many records? Like a couple at the very least.
I don't know, but I know he's like 500 some yards away from 2,000.
2,000, yeah. And the people are like, "Oh, put the asterisk because it's 17 games." Like, yeah, but if he does it in 16 games, what are you going to say?
Yeah, because he could do it in 6
He could do it in 16 games.
Well, because what's the record for receiving yards in a season?
I believe it's
Like 1,800?
no, it's like 1900 or very close to it. I think Megatron has it. I think. Let's see here. I believe he does. Prove me if I'm wrong.
No, you're right. Calvin Johnson at 1964. But
Yeah,
I
I
mean-
think Hill will get there. Even pass him for sure. It's about time we've had a new wide receiver break a record.
where is he right now?
I think Hill this year so far has, hold on,
1481.
1481.
He's currently, well, he's only 65th right now. But again, he's still got how many weeks left? And he's, even not counting week 17, he still is like up there with all these people.
Mhm.
And very easily could. He could.
He could. I
Uh,
want him to. He's on pace.
Unfortunately, the competition he's been
Yeah, the competition's been kind of.
the
but we'll
competition
see.
they're gonna have to go up against with well, Titans, and then with what we know about the Cowboys, those two could be possibilities, and then the Bills, but then it's like Ravens, Jets are two that are going to be difficult to pass against. So
Yeah.
we'll see what goes on with them, but
Mhm.
back on track and go.
Titans and Colts. I think the highlight of that game was Levi throwing a pick. Somebody on the defense caught it. Then Levi went to go make the tackle, caused a fumble, recovered that fumble, and then got the first down. Like that was like the most exciting play I think of that game. I saw the highlight. It was impressive. I hope Levi does pretty well in the NFL. I mean, Depends on what team he's on, if they actually build around him for once. But he's looking better now. The Colts kind of scare me right now in the sense that they are 7-5, but they've won really, really badly. Especially how close the Titans were to actually beating them. But that's just my opinion. But the Colts got 6 sacks, though.
My take on it. The Colts shouldn't have won that. They won that because of 2 blocked punts.
I forgot about that, yeah.
There
was one, but I forgot there was a second one.
There were 2 that allowed them to get 10 points. The Titans and Will Levis. Levi.
I don't know why I said Levi.
You said it like 5 times.
I know. It's Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis.
Levis.
I'm excited to see him next year. Obviously, there's some issues in Tennessee this year. The special teams coordinator was fired, obviously. The first block punt was so bad because I was watching the game and I looked over and I'm like, damn, that guy didn't get touched on the way to the ball. I was like, oh my god.
I don't know. Special teams are interesting to watch sometimes. I guess that's just coming from a Husker fan because every time special teams are on the field, it's like, please don't mess this up. At least kick it at least maybe 30 yards down the field at the very least. Or at least that's what it was for a while. But, yeah, I'm getting flashbacks. But, yeah, it was a very sloppy game overall. Disappointing, but still put up a good numbers for the most part. But
Yeah.
so,
Go on.
Falcons and Jets. I don't understand how the Falcons and the Jets combined for 21 points.
I mean, I can. Jets have a good defense and can't use squad on offense. Two of their 8
I guess
points.
it's fair. But
were
the Falcons, I
defense.
didn't watch the game, but I looked on fantasy here and there, and I'm like, the Falcons are like in the on the Jets side of the field and could not get past like the 40 or the 30 sometimes. I don't know what was going on. Maybe I was seeing things, but
Jets just have a good defense, and I
Mhm.
think that's it's just been overlooked this
Mhm.
year. Which, well, at the beginning people were
In the
talking about
beginning,
it,
yeah.
but people have not been talking about it as much, and I'm like,
Yeah.
they still have a really good defense, and that was why I thought that's why I picked the Jets to win last week. Obviously wrong, but I was like, literally all they have to do is score 1 touchdown, and I think they win that
literally.
game. And they would have if they scored 1 touchdown, but they started Tim Boyle, and well, they're not going to be doing that this week as they've named Zach Wilson to be the starter again, which is fair because I think of the 3 that they have there, he's the only one with starter potential. It's his stuff is literally it's coaching, and they need to actually like coach the guy because he has the talent to be a good quarterback, or at least a solid quarterback.
It's a decent one, yeah,
but like
the coaching is not helping. And I agree with Parsons actually on the take he had, where the coaching staff and the fan base kind of ruined Wilson in a sense, made it hard for him to flourish to some extent, have confidence. So it kind of killed it for him, which I agree with. But then again, he went on to saying that, oh yeah, I could be the quarterback to Tyreek Hill or whatever it was on the same podcast. I'm like, dude, either you say it sucks to be quarterback or it's really easy to be quarterback. Pick one. But but I do agree on the take that Wilson has been getting a lot of hate just for no reason. I know he's bad, but it's not entirely his fault. It's just poor coaching.
Well, yeah, and
poor fan base.
They've had this issue. It was the same thing with Sam Darnold.
It really was. He's just a copy paste at this point.
Yeah, and it's like, I mean, they did go out and get a new coach because what was it? Who was the Jets coach at the time when they was it Adam Gase or
Yes, it was Gase.
Yeah, Gase was not a good choice. Salah's
Gase is
better.
something else.
well he has really good defense, so that's
Yeah.
very good.
Once the Jets get an offense, I think they're actually a force to reckon with. But for right now, they're not going anywhere. I hope Rodgers does not get killed behind that line.
I don't think he comes back this year.
I don't think he will come back this year, especially if how poorly it's gone.
I don't
There's
think
no
he's-
way he's winning
5 games.
5 games in a row to get to 9-8. There's no way. Ain't no way. Well,
Yeah, we'll go on to the next game.
Yeah.
Let's see. You want to do Chargers?
we can do Chargers.
We'll keep it short because there was not there was really nothing in that game. 6-0.
I'm so glad I didn't watch that game.
I did watch that game
Why did you
Because-
subject yourself to that torture?
because I have a friend who's a Chargers fan, and they've completely given up on the season. They're like, I just want to lose games, so Staley gets fired as soon as possible. And so we sat there and we were like, please.
Patriot. It's like the meme. Like, come on, do something.
Yeah, we just sat there and we're like, all you have to do is score one touch. It was another game. Score one touchdown.
No, they didn't.
They didn't. And I was like, wow. Although at about the end of the first quarter, I was like, this seems like a game that's going to end 9-0. It was a field goal off, but it was close.
We're close.
I was
Oh God, that's terrible. The fact that the Patriots didn't score a single point that game is depressing. I love how he went to, Tom Brady, New England Patriots, Super Bowl champions, within like not even 5 years. Bottom feeder. Like, I'm relishing in this because the Patriots have been good for way too long. But it's also not. It's not fun to watch players specifically just put their heart into the game and they get nothing out of it. Also, who's their quarterback? They don't have any healthy wide receivers. Or no, they do have healthy wide receivers, but they just don't have like good players. I don't know.
I think this offseason is going to be really interesting for the Patriots because, I mean, they could go out and get a free agent, but right now it's like they could have any quarterback they want pretty much.
Yeah.
They're in what?
Remember,
They have the second pick right now,
yeah, they have the second pick right now.
only to the Bears,
The Bears have the first and third right now, I think.
and the Bears aren't taking a QB. So
That's true. We'll see.
unless the Bears do what they did last year and trade that first overall pick for more capital, which if I were them,
I mean,
do.
I would do that.
But unless they really want a receiver, but I think you can get that.
They might want to. Well, the Bears,
They could get it at
they
3,
do
though.
need a receiver. But
Because you know what 2 is going to be, and all you have to do is not give the first overall pick to someone who's going to take, like Marvin Harrison. You're fine.
yeah.
So
It's either the Cardinals or the Bears that are getting Marvin Harrison, in my opinion.
yeah, but I think Patriots are in an interesting position because I think they're finally at a point where they're done with Mac Jones. Although I do think Mac Jones goes somewhere else and starts somewhere else because I think he has the potential to be a solid starter. It's just clearly something. There is so many things wrong with the New England offense.
I just don't trust him anymore.
I don't think it's.
He was a starter his first couple years. Now he's not good anymore. And I don't know if it's the coaching staff. I don't know if he's just regressed as a player. It's just not fun to watch him. Also, people were like, they were describing him to be like the next Tom Brady his first 2 seasons. I'm like, no, he's not. Just wait a couple years. I'm right. Wait a couple years, and here we are. I just don't have faith in him as of right now. If he develops later on, good for him. It's just right now he needs to like really find some footing.
I don't know.
And get a good coaching staff, or at least outside of Belichick. But even then, Belichick it's questionable.
I just
as
don't
of
know
right
how
now.
you can look at the Patriots and be like, that offense doesn't work. Clearly, Mac Jones is the issue. It's like,
No, there's other issues.
there's a lot of issues.
There's a
on that
lot of
offense,
issues. It's just
and
I don't know what's
think-
going on there.
It's like the Jets with Zach Wilson. I don't think he has a chance really with how bad that offense is.
Yeah.
They have no run game. That doesn't help.
Oh no, whatsoever.
And that's what they're supposed to be able to do. And if you can't run the ball
Mhm.
as a running team, then what are you going to do? So
Yeah. Also, Johnson sucks. As of this year, he only has 169 receiving yards, while every other draft pick from last year has at least over 500 yards.
who are we talking about?
Johnston, TCU.
Oh, Chargers, Quentin Johnson.
Quentin
I
Johnson.
saw that he had. Yeah, he's at 169 compared to everyone else who has at least 500.
At least 500.
And it was everyone drafted after.
Everyone drafted after him, yeah, at the very least.
Although I'm pretty sure Smith and Jigba was the only, even though he was the only one drafted above him, I think he also has.
He has a lot more than Johnson right now.
What? And it's the and we talked about what game was it? The what was the one where he had the bad drop?
That was Green
lost.
Bay.
It was Green Bay. He had the bad drop. He had to drop this week.
I saw that.
That was, in my opinion, so much worse because it looked like the most unathletic person you've ever seen try and catch a lob. Like a lob,
Yeah,
and they're just like,
I'm trying.
it's like it hits your hands like you're an NFL receiver and you can't. That I don't know what that is, but
I would like to say he's just having a really off year, but it's his first year.
it's also
I don't
just
know
like
anymore.
he's such a typical Chargers receiver. Oh, and Chargers always go for size. Look, they got Keenan Allen,
Mm-hmm.
Mike Williams, and then they go out and get a Quentin Johnston. But it's like,
Yeah.
hey, you got a big, fast dude.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't really run routes, but he's big and fast, and yet he can't catch the ball, which is why you get big, fast, or why you get big receivers.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess not. But yeah, Chargers, both teams disappointing, both trying to tank, I guess.
In this sense, yeah. I don't know anymore. Chargers is just a mystery. Patriots, I know they're tanking. But yeah. Right, moving on. So Lions and Saints. I expected that. Mostly because I don't trust Detroit's defense. But their offense did amazing work. What was it? Montgomery, Williams, Laporta, St. Brown at least had one touchdown each. No, they all had the touchdowns. So there you go. Saints, I'm a little concerned. Kamara got 2 touchdowns though.
Yeah, he's been looking a lot better.
Yeah.
Recently,
He's gotten better for sure.
Then there was Derek Carr came out. Was his just they benched him, or was it?
I thought they benched him.
Because I didn't
could
see
be
anything
wrong.
about him being injured.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hill came in for a
he
pass or
threw
two?
two passes.
2 passes.
Ugh. But yeah, obviously still some concerns with Detroit because even though they went up 21-0 in the first quarter,
They slowly crept back.
well, it was all second half too. But the thing with the Saints, and this is the thing with the Saints. I've another thing I've been saying is let's see. Taysom Hill had touched the ball, not counting his passes, 15 times,
15 times,
and
yeah.
they scored 20 points. No, he didn't. He obviously wasn't responsible for all of them. He had a touchdown, 15 receiving yards, and 59 rushing yards, which
Rushing yards, yep.
was actually more than Alvin Kamara.
Yep.
So there's that.
He's pretty flexible, but
He's a gadget player. He does it so well, and the Saints don't have an offense when they don't use him. It's been if you look at every week they've had a decent
he's like
offense.
a wonder of some kind.
He's one of my favorite just gadget players, and you can put him anywhere.
Like,
but,
he can be really good, but he can be really bad if he's not careful.
well, it's most of the time when they try and play him at quarterback because he's not like a. He can throw the ball,
Just not
but he's
consistently.
not like a. He's not a quarterback.
He's more of a flea flicker kind of thing, you know?
He's
Trick
just
plays.
he's a gadget player.
Hmm.
His nickname is the Swiss Army knife,
Yeah, that makes sense.
and it's like he shouldn't have one spot on the field at all time. Like that isn't the thing, but you
Yeah.
should be using him because your offense does so much better when he's on the field. And this is evidence. Even though he's not getting like 100, 200 yards a game,
Yeah.
your
They're not
offense
gonna use him, though.
your offense actually does something when he's on the field. And it's just like if you use him, you will win. And everyone was like, "Oh, it's just a Sean Payton thing with Taysom Hill." And it's like, no,
No.
he's actually just good at being a gadget player. Use him.
Yeah.
But
They haven't yet.
it frustrates me, but also I'm glad that they've used him a little bit more. Other storyline with this game that I didn't realize until now was revenge game for Jamal Williams.
Oh, I forgot about that, yeah.
He didn't do much. He went
No.
5 for 10, but
No, but
hands
forgot
are.
about that.
But yeah, Lions still a little concerning, but they're finding ways to win.
I see. The thing is that I've known that their defense is not that good, so I expected that to happen. Like, I wanted to be optimistic and at least have like a pretty decent margin of victory, but the Lions' defense is kind of concerning, and that's like their main issue as of right now. But otherwise, they're a pretty solid team when they're consistent. And Goff isn't throwing picks. He
Yeah.
hasn't thrown any picks in the last game or two. He
He
didn't,
didn't throw
he didn't
any-
throw any this game.
Yeah,
But-
they really struggle when he does throw picks.
Yeah, but it's very rare when he does. Or
Yeah,
at least
but-
as in recent memory in the Lions, though. 'Cause he hadn't thrown a pick in like how many?
Yeah, he was like a game or two away from. Oh no, it was a certain amount of completions without an interception.
And then
Then he
the announcer, I don't know which announcer did, but someone jinxed it, and he threw a pick, like literally the first play of that game.
No, it wasn't even the first play. It was like
from the
later
first
in the
drive,
game.
I think, right?
I think it was later in the game.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah, it wasn't the Chiefs though. It was one of
No, it was a home game for the Lions. I don't remember who it was.
the, yeah,
I don't
really
remember,
was- but
Yeah.
the Lions have some concerns. Saints, they have a good defense, even though Lions did
Yeah.
put up 33. If the Saints can literally just
Have an offense.
just use Taysom Hill, they'll be fine. They're gonna win games. They could win the division if they just use Taysom Hill.
Somebody's gonna win that tank division.
But yeah. Going on. Arizona, Pittsburgh. I was wrong, but I have never been so happy to be wrong. In a game that
I called it
in a game that got delayed twice.
twice.
Um,
I looked at that and I'm like, what is going on?
It was just super.
Was it
rainy.
rain?
It was
Did both
super
of them?
rainy.
Both times? Okay.
The
Like, I
Northeast.
knew it was raining, but I knew one of them was a rain delay. I didn't know what the second one was.
I'm assuming it was just more rain. But yeah, a game that had Kenny Pickett leave with an injury.
Yeah, how long was he in that game for? I guess that's my next question because it depends on what I'm about to say now.
Oh, is it?
Oh yeah.
Let's see. He only threw 10 passes, so
Yeah.
probably around half.
Half? Okay. All right, that's not bad then. But yeah, losing Pickett was kind of a blow.
But I don't.
He hasn't been amazing, as some Steeler fans have been saying, but Pickett has been at least better in recent memory. Yeah, that injury definitely knocked some of the spirit off of them. It was also raining, so that didn't help at all. Trubisky did serviceable numbers for the remainder of the game. But yeah, that's all I can see on the Steelers side of things. Murray, 1 touchdown, 145 yards, 13 for 23. Connor got 2 touchdowns, 105 yards. Is it McBride? I believe 8 for 9, 89 yards and a touchdown.
Yeah, sure.
Pretty good. But that's all from the game. I did see that Antonio Brown did call out a reporter using a very interesting language towards the reporter when being compared to current Steelers wide receivers. Oops on his part, but then again, he has like CTE and all that stuff. So
Yeah, but he's gotten so many excuses for that.
he should have.
Yeah, this
And then,
game.
yeah, I mean, Watt has also came out and said that the NFL has quote unquote something against him. I understand, like, if you're coming from the perspective that the refs are trying to mess you up or not giving you like a sack, for example, because you roughed the passer or whatever it was, I understand that to a degree. However, if it was just you, the entire NFL wouldn't be suffering from this as well, because the ref ball this year for every single team has been god awful. Maybe exceptions of like a few games this year, but there has been something every single game with these refs. I don't know what it is. But yeah, Watt's done pretty well this year though. He's second in sacks. Khalil Mack actually is leading the NFL in sacks, so good for him. He's having a career year actually.
Is he?
Yeah, which is crazy to think about. Or at least when it comes in terms of like I think pressures and sacks, I believe. But I'm not entirely sure. I mean, he's back at that 2018 Bears form, I think, at least in that sense, number wise. But yeah, that's about it on that game.
Yeah. I'm kind of just surprised that the Steelers let up 24.
Some defense, huh?
Well, it's not even like
I'm giving them crap. It was a rainy day. It was hard. It was a difficult game to play in.
24 just is surprising to me.
That field is cursed.
They tend to do better, although I did lose a fumble, but
Did they? Okay.
yeah.
Is it Trubisky that fumbled that? Okay.
Yeah. So, but yeah, 24 as like a Steelers for the Steelers. That's just not really obtainable.
No, especially against was formerly a 2-10 team and now a 3-10 team. Oops.
Yeah.
Then again, conditions were not great, so I'm gonna let that one slide just a little bit.
I'm just happy to see the Steelers lose.
I am too. It's just I'm gonna give them a pass on the defense just for a little bit. It's just hard. Usually, if the defenses are either having a field day on defense on a rainy day, or they're just not ever getting to the quarterback at all, and that was the case in this game, I think. So.
Yeah, we can go into Denver-Houston.
Oh, yes. I didn't watch the Broncos or Texans game, but I kept checking fantasy because I think I was at some other event. But I kept looking. I'm like, oh yeah, the Texans are up by 10 at some point. I'm like, oh yeah, the Texans have this in the bag. And then Denver came back, and I was like, oh, Broncos might win the game. And then Russell was cooking. And then he threw an interception in the end zone. In the famous quote of Patrick Starr, "That's not what he wanted to cook."
Yeah, it was it was disappointing. I was watching that one, kind of actually rooting for him. Russell Wilson had 3 interceptions.
Yeah, that really killed them. Stingley Jr. had 2. So,
but I mean, he was. That was the thing as I was watching. They were playing well, like they've been playing. They put themselves in a situation to win with, like, because again, the way they were playing is like, how they usually play. And it's the kind of play that has gotten them, to win 5 in a row, and that got them to 6-5 in the first place. But it was one too many interceptions, and there was so much to take in on that last throw because it was
It was an interesting decision to throw that because I saw the play. I think it was just he came across and saw the play, and that's how he got intercepted. Or I think was it Stingley who intercepted that last one, or was it Ward?
I think it was Ward.
Okay.
But
Well, regardless, I think Ward was watching that and just watched the ball and watched where Wilson was looking at. But I couldn't tell if that was just like a forced pass, like he just tried to throw it in the end zone, or he just like, oh, there's a receiver open and threw it and then wasn't open.
there were the thing watching that is I don't remember who we threw it to.
I think it was the tight end, wasn't it?
It might have been Troutman. I think it was the running back who had about 10. There was the running back who ran a flat, and he had about 10 yards of space between him and the end zone and the closest defender. Well, maybe 7 yards from the closest defender.
About, yeah.
So he could have done a dump off and tried to give him a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why he didn't. The issue is, I believe it was Troutman.
I thought it was too. But it could
The
be
issue with the throw was that it was late because he threw it to Troutman, but Troutman was open
for a while.
5 yards away from the end zone, and he waited for him to get to like the back of the end zone, and threw a jump ball. And it's like, no, he was open with and you could have hit him in stride for a touchdown, would have been fine.
Yeah.
But he hit him too late, and I also think Troutman, for the jump ball, didn't get the best positioning on it.
No, he was completely behind the defender, so
He
he was not in a great position to try and get that ball. So
But again, it's scrappy play, and it's not surprising to see one of them go against the Broncos. But
Yeah.
I mean, it's just another game. Like, even though it wasn't pretty, and most of theirs haven't been, and it's like if they can still pull out a few more wins, they actually still can make
regardless
the
if it's ugly.
playoffs.
So,
They can still make the playoffs.
Yeah, I would rather have the Texans in over the other 7-5 teams, but that's not happening because I think it's just they've won more earlier or the Steelers and Browns have won more earlier compared to the Texans. So, or head-to-head matchups, I don't remember.
Oh,
But-
speaking of 7-win teams and I guess more 6-win teams, this was an interesting statistic that I saw recently. Was that the Patriots still technically have a road to the playoffs?
No way.
They have to win every single game, and they have to have every 7-win team. I think it's like every 7-win team lose out, and every 6-win team win only one specific game, and then they'll all come out to be 7 wins, and with tiebreakers, I think the Patriots would win. So
They're 2-10, aren't they?
yeah, they'd come out to be 7-10. It would be like a 5-6 way
no.
tie at 7-10 for the 7 seed.
You know that is not happening.
No, it's not. But I just think it's
Wildest
really
dreams.
funny.
That is kind of funny, actually. Not gonna
Especially with them playing on Thursday night.
lie.
which
Against the
means-
Steelers.
And if they win that game, it's gonna
I will
it's gonna
laugh
happen.
my butt off.
It's gonna,
No,
But-
I'm not kidding. Like Steelers, if you lose to the Patriots, actually tonight, you are frauds. I've been saying that all year about the Steelers. They've had no good offense. They've been winning such dumb games that they shouldn't deserve to win, but they have. But I don't know.
it's
That's
the
just my
Steelers-
opinion.
It's the Steelers away.
That's what
Let's see, what else do we got? We got not much to note. Miami, Washington, blowout. Washington's
that's not a surprise.
Washington's back to not looking great. They got a little bit of promise earlier in the year, but they're
Etienne and Hill both have 2 touchdowns each.
yeah. It was that was a game that was on, and I kept looking over. And I'm like, oh, they scored again. Anyways,
I gotta go
Yes.
back to doing my college homework and finals.
yeah,
It's
but
been a long week. But yeah,
I still liked watching Sam Howell.
He's been pretty like
He's just fun to watch.
yeah. He's got 2 rushing touchdowns.
On the air or in the game.
No, in that game specifically.
Dude,
He's
so
been
much fun to
he's
watch.
been like aggressive, and I like that.
He's
but-
a tough guy.
He's just not on the right team. Rivera needs to be fired, by the way. I think he's about done.
I don't know about needs to be fired. I don't think they have a great roster, especially getting rid of their edge rushers
Yeah,
earlier in the year.
Sweat,
But
yeah.
they have a pretty solid. They have good weapons and
Yeah.
a quarterback that they can win with. They need an O line and they need to reinforce that defense. But
Yes. That's another day, though.
yeah, they're just not. I thought there was a chance they made the playoffs, but no,
Mm-mm.
they're on what, a losing streak,
Yep.
and
Pretty big one, too, isn't it?
yeah, they're looking rough. They're down all the way down to 4-9, so
Yeah, they're
Yeah. top 10 pick, which actually might be what they're going for.
honestly. I mean, because the Giants have been winning games lately. So maybe.
A good pick. Again, it's a new ownership,
That,
Um,
too. It's
so you're
it's
gonna have you're gonna
guy
end
at
up
the
with a new
helm.
coach.
Mhm.
They'll probably stick with Sam Howell. I hope they do because I like him.
Yeah, he's good. Especially under the OC he has, so.
And just chance to do much, but otherwise, it just wasn't much to talk about.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Bucks and Panthers, literally nothing to talk about. Buccaneers, you almost blew it again. You had the Panthers at like an upset, I believe. That did not happen.
Yeah, we both.
It was
I think
close.
it was purely just because I wanted to. If he did, I wanted to see if Todd Bowles would get fired.
He hasn't been fired yet, so.
Well, probably because they won.
Well,
and they're
duh.
still in.
They're 5-7.
They're still in playoff contention because the Falcons are leading with 6 wins.
Yeah, Falcons are 6-6.
Yeah,
Tank division's back, baby.
Nothing really of note in that game, at least on my end.
No, nothing on my end.
We got. Oh, actually, well, there was Mike Evans surpassing.
Oh yeah,
Was it 10,000 yards?
10 well, in 10 seasons, yeah, because 10 seasons, 1,000 yards at the very least.
Oh,
He's-
10. Yeah, 10 seasons.
10 seasons with 1,000 yards,
Yeah.
and so 10,000 in total.
No.
Hall of Fame.
It's hard. It's hard to tell because
People have been debating that for a while.
Yeah, Hall of Fame arguments are weird because it was since Phillip Rivers, it's been difficult for me because it's like I don't know really how you can like consistently good players.
Mm-hmm.
Do consistently good players deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, or should it be players that were great? Because I think like in today, like currently, he's considered a great wide receiver, but in like the grand scope of the NFL history, he's a good receiver.
He's a good receiver, but not amazing.
He's consistently good too.
He has won at least one Super Bowl, which I think, would qualify for something, but I don't know. We'll see.
It's just he might. It's just I'm someone who like is a little bit on the more conservative side, I guess, with putting people in the Hall of Fame discussion because I'm like,
Maybe I don't know.
like, but then it's like you also have to look. I'm the person who thinks of like 20 to 30 people in the Hall of Fame, not like 500 people.
500 people, yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's the greats. Like that's what I want it to be, but now they just kind of let certain people in where it's like.
Well, I mean, but they also have done that. If you look at some of the people in there, you're like, I have no idea who this is. But they played like 50, 70 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like,
Okay.
I don't know who this is.
I feel like the Hall of Fame should be, well, I think it is it not? Based on like, I don't know. I feel like they should do it like in a certain like year, like a frame where it's like, players from like this year, if they had like really good players from this year, maybe figure out if they should be inducted into the Hall of Fame or not, see their career throughout. But like, I don't know. It's just I don't get the Hall of Fame process. I don't get the debates either. But there are definitely some ones where like, yeah, that guy should be in the Hall of Fame.
Tom Brady.
Yeah, Tom Brady. If he's not in the Hall of Fame in like the next year, I'm gonna be.
He's
ticked
going
off.
to be first ballot.
Well, he's obviously first ballot. 7 rings. No one's ever gonna get close.
I don't know. I don't remember how long he has to wait before he can get inducted.
Is there actually a wait period for that? That's.
I think it's like somewhere between like 3 and 5 years because
What?
I don't remember who was available this year. I've seen some stuff on people that have been become available for.
Is it because of the retirement idea, like coming out of retirement? Is that what they're concerned about?
It's also like I think part of it is also like taking a step back and like looking at it from in like hindsight rather than like
Not from a specific.
that's like
okay.
the thing with Mike Evans right now is just like you look at-
We're talking about a specific era and not the entire thing. And I see that now.
well it's also like again you look at Mike Evans right now and you're like yeah he should be, but then if you wait like 5 years you're like well should he really be, because you have people like Justin Jefferson.
Jefferson
just
needs
like-
to win at least 1 or 2 Super Bowls. He deserves it.
Oh well yeah he
Well, there's definitely a lot of players that deserve a Super Bowl, but
Yeah.
that's a debate for another day.
we'll go on I guess. My my vote for game of the week, although there were some good games. Well, it was my game of the week going into the week. 49ers.
Eagles.
49ers.
I thought it'd be
Eagles.
closer, but no.
I'm not surprised that it wasn't though, because
I mean,
it was
granted, it was close for like the first quarter, and then it wasn't.
Yeah,
But
49ers were angry. They were playing angry. You could. There was just like a sense that that's how it was gonna go, and yeah, it was just not pretty.
I mean, I agree. I think Urinating Tree said this, but Eagles might be winning the NFC with the record at the moment, but the Niners run the NFC right now,
yeah,
and I agree with that.
if the
So
49ers when they're hot are
they're amazing.
yeah,
They're unstoppable. It's scary.
but they've like clearly they have points. They have something that can
Mhm.
like a kryptonite or something that
Yeah. It's
can-
just now I've seen them more and more recently, and like just watching them, it's just like, yeah, I would not be opposed to them getting a ring in like the next year to 3 years. Like I want them to, especially with like McCaffrey, Kittle, like Bosa, Warner. Like there's a lot of players that deserve a ring because that's a stacked roster. So. But yeah, I mean, Hurts didn't do awful, but although I did watch a bit of that game, and it happened to be at the same time when Leonard and that security guy got kicked out because they were fighting, quote unquote, even though the security guy didn't even touch Leonard, I don't think. But I don't know. I didn't see the entire thing, but I did see like the replay of it for the most part. And I was like, oh, so that happened. That was interesting. So I don't know. I don't know too much about it, so I'm not gonna go into that a whole lot. But yeah, bad day for the Eagles. If they want to keep their division, they got to win against the Cowboys tomorrow, Sunday. So
Yeah.
I think they can. We'll see. But moving on,
yeah.
Rams and Browns. I'm surprised, but I'm also not
Yeah.
because Flacco was at the helm.
Yeah, Browns. Another struggling offense with a really good defense. Rams. The game was close last I saw it, and then I
And-
looked back and it was like what 36-19.
19. And the thing is that it was actually a close game up until a certain point. That I think of the 36 points, I think the 2 touchdowns that came at the end, those were garbage time points, or at least the last touchdown was. The second to last touchdown was not. So it was more of a
And they also got a safety, I think, didn't they?
I believe so. I'm not entirely sure.
It's
But
just
Stafford's back in his prime to an extent.
this is just
Um,
it's
he's
just,
back.
It's what happens when you go to when you're a backup quarterback and end up starting for your rival team
Rival
for where you
team,
played
yeah.
forever. Flacco,
Yes. Yeah.
I'll never forgive you.
Oh, you got some- well, also Flacco was never great. He was good. He wasn't great. He was serviceable for a while. So at least he got
Yeah.
a ring. Chiefs and Packers. That was a shock. Honestly, I did not expect that to happen. However, given the certain context of the game, like certain situations, I understand it. But I'm going to point it out again. Ref ball. Why?
Okay, so here's the thing, though. I'm assuming you're talking about the end of the game, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Or at least the calls that were, they favored both. One of the calls favored the Chiefs. One of the calls favored the Packers. So it was supposed to be like an offsetting call or whatever it is.
It
they've been
was-
calling it.
It was an offset because they miscalled a late hit out of bounds when he was still in bounds, and then a blatant pass interference call didn't get
Yes,
called.
when he was literally over him.
But it's like, it kind of. But like again, the late hit was also really bad.
It was awful.
Both were bad, but I think honestly the second one might have been literally just a makeup call.
Yeah.
Which
I
fair.
can see that.
I'm not
I mean-
entirely surprised at the outcome though, because Chiefs are not looking good right now.
Okay. As much as I want to see the Chiefs lose a couple games here and there, mostly because it's like they gotta wake up to reality to a certain degree. Why are we making Love look like he's the next Aaron Rodgers? He's not that good. Sure, he's been putting up the numbers and everything, but he's not like elite. He's nowhere close to like Stroud though, in my opinion. But he
Yeah,
has been
except
putting
he
up
could be.
numbers. I don't trust him. I still don't, especially with the earlier this year. And I understand the argument to like he's developing and everything. He had time to develop under Rodgers.
Yeah, but he didn't have time to start.
A whole lot, which is fair.
He's
I
got a
don't
lot of
know.
learning to do,
He does have a lot of learning to do.
and he's kind of putting it to work. There's still a lot of really scrappy
But-
from the Packers.
I do want to say this. If the Packers do get like the 7th or 6th seed in the NFC in the playoffs, you know what would be hilarious?
If
The
they
Packers,
played the Lions,
no, if they played the Niners and beat them again, this time under Love. I think that would be hilarious.
That would be my expectation.
I would laugh, mostly because the Niners cannot beat the Packers. The Eagles and Cowboys cannot beat the Niners.
Well, no, the Packers can't be the Niners.
Well, I guess it's alternate. It depends on the year.
In the playoffs,
In the playoffs, it's
it's
other
been the
way around.
Packers can't be the 49ers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I honestly, if the Packers make it in as a 6 or 7,
which I can see.
they would have to make it in as a 7. I think 49ers have the 2 locked up unless they manage to get the 1.
Which is hard to do.
Yeah,
I don't
just
know,
the
especially
Eagles
with
right
like the Eagles and Cowboys being up there. I don't think the Cowboys get the number 1 seed though. I think they will get 2 if they beat the Eagles. I don't think they get 1.
Well, they can't
I
get
think the
2.
Niners will go up.
They can't get 2.
They can't get 2.
No, because the first 4 are division winners.
I'm saying if the Cowboys beat the Eagles, they get put first in the division, don't they?
Well, they would have split, so it would go to tiebreakers, and I don't know the tiebreakers. I'm assuming
Eagles.
it would be 1 loss to each other. Both have a loss to the 49ers. It'd probably still be the Eagles because the Eagles lost to the Jets. Who did the Cowboys lose? Cowboys lost to the Cardinals, so Eagles have a better NFC record
Yeah. So I
because
mean,
they'd have the same division record.
yeah, it is head to head. I mean, they split it.
Split head-to-head, same division record. So it would go to conference record, and Cowboys have the loss to the Cardinals, all of theirs came from NFC teams, while Eagles have an AFC one, so their
Yeah.
AFC record's better. So they would be,
So Eagles would still be first.
they would.
Interesting.
But I think if the Cowboys beat the Eagles, regardless of, like, however that tiebreaker works, 49ers should be first because they beat both.
Yeah.
So if they get in a tiebreaker against any of them, they win head to head.
Yeah, which is crazy to think about, but yeah. Moving on to Monday night. Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Thank God Trevor Lawrence just has a high ankle sprain.
Yes.
I saw that replay. I'm like, no, I can't afford to watch another quarterback go down and out for the year. Thank God he just has a high ankle sprain, because that was like, I was about to quit watching in the NFL for a little bit, because it's like, how are all these quarterbacks getting injured? Like, really?
A lot of reasons, but it was tough to watch that replay too of him, trying to get back up, and then
He got so upset, and I was upset with him. It's like,
he clearly wanted to play.
He threw his helmet.
He did,
Yeah.
and then there was Trey Hendrickson on the side who was trying to. It's just one of those scenes where it's like, it's kind of tough to watch, even though it's not even like a super serious injury, but it's just like you can see
He's frustrated.
you can see the passion,
And that's what I love about him.
but yeah, but talking actual like what happened in the game, Jake Browning did well.
What the heck?
I mean, I'm not. No one really knows what he is because he's a rookie who went undrafted. So it's like nobody really knows. But he did play for Washington, and Washington does tend to have good passing offenses. So
Yeah.
him just like all he had to do was dump it off to Jamar Chase.
And it worked for the most part.
The defenses on both sides were quite concerning, but
That's just because offenses decided to play today, and the defenses are like, oh, okay, we'll just let you guys have a shootout. But
but the Jaguars especially were not ones to rely on the offense. They've been relying on the defense all year, so
yeah, which is fair. But
we're a little bit concerned there. But
I think it was still good in offense. Still a great offensive game. It was just not what I expected, at least in the end. But I was gonna say that Boyd on that.
Oh God, that play was
pass.
so bad.
I'd never another game that I wish I watched on live because I know it was a good game. I saw the clip. I don't know why he threw it, because he could clearly see people just standing there. They were just watching him. Like he was watching them too. They were literally making eye contact, and he just threw it right to him.
Oh, it was a design play.
It
And
was
the
a
other
design
thing is
play.
like he could have thrown it over him.
He could have, but he didn't.
He didn't. This is why coaches are so hesitant to have non-quarterbacks throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
It's just
Oh
like
God.
it reminds me of that freaking that clip of Travis Kelce talking about the time he threw a football, and he was like, "What if the throw's there?" And Andy Reid was like, "Don't throw it," and he rolled out and he was like, "This is my one chance to throw a pass in the NFL." Like, throw it and it got intercepted. And this is like, yeah, they don't know how to process anything, even if the arm talent is there. If you're not a quarterback, you most likely don't know how to process.
Yeah, they got to read the field. They got to observe.
Because, like, the thing with Boyd, again, is, like, it's not even... It was the fact that these guys are in front of you, but he's in the middle.
Yeah,
And there's, like, 10 to 20 yards between you guys. Lob it over
Loft
him.
it up in the air.
He just throws
don't
it
know
right
anymore.
into his chest. I'm like, bruh. So,
I did see a video of RG3 jumping into the Jags pool.
that was fun.
I think that was kind of funny. He was in a full suit too, so that was pretty funny. But yeah, I think that's about it for wrap-ups though. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, there was... the only other thing from the week that I forgot to mention was Tank Dell out for the season with a broken fibula.
Oh yeah, that's a big blow to the Texans. But I think Nico Collins has that. Nico Collins, thank you. I appreciate you for literally being one of the only reasons that my fantasy team is actually doing really well right now.
Meanwhile, I had Tank Dell on mine. But
Oops.
I digress. I want to I want to go through my power rankings real
Okay,
quick.
real quick,
Just because
real
I
quick.
actually did have some shakeup. Because there was some teams that lost. One, I have 49ers over Eagles. Kind of.
Niners over Eagles. Okay.
2 is Eagles. 3 Ravens stayed the same. Dolphins jump up to 4. Cowboys stay at 5. Lions move up to 6. Chiefs fall all the way down to 7.
Mm-hmm.
Jags fall down to 8.
Mm-hmm.
Texans move up to 9, and I put the Packers at 10, with an honorable mention with the Colts.
I can't be mad. I can't be.
I think with my predictions in the upcoming weeks, I think that Packers at 10 right now is going to look good.
Good. Yeah.
We'll see, but I have my reasoning.
They have beaten pretty good teams, which
Okay.
is surprising. I don't know how they have. It's just been luck for the most part, honestly. But I will not jump on the Love hype train, mostly because I don't trust Jordan Love as of right now. If
Give it a
he if he ends the year on a really positive note, like the Packers like upset somebody in the playoffs, for example, I will say that's a successful year, and I hope to God we do not have to suffer another, how many years, 15 years under another Packers quarterback who just happens to be good but never reaches the Super Bowl. Well, once. They'll win a Super Bowl, but that's about it in 15 years. But you know the trend. But yeah.
We can go into predictions. Also, like, speaking of predictions, last week I went 7 and 6.
7 and 6.
Not.
Oh, this past week?
Yeah, last week I went.
I
7
think
and
I
6
went. Yeah, I only had 5, so I was
13 games played.
Yeah.
So what? 5 and 8.
It's still pretty good though. I only had 5 incorrect games. which
Oh,
is-
5 incorrect. So 8.
Yeah, 5 incorrect. Yeah, so I did pretty well for. There were some games where I was disappointed about, but yeah. Week 14 predictions. Steelers and Patriots.
Thursday night football. I'm picking the Steelers again, but
I am picking the Steelers. If they do not combine to at least get 20 points, I'm going to be really, really depressed that I have lost time off my life watching that game.
well, honestly, that's
I can't watch it tonight, but I will be very disappointed. Falcons and Buccaneers. I got the Falcons winning barely. But
I have Falcons winning just on the hope that they use their weapons.
please use Bijan and Pitts, and use Ritter correctly if you're going to have him start. Lions and Bears. I think the Lions will win.
Although I wouldn't be too surprised if the Bears won.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Bears won, but I'm going to keep it as a very close score. I originally had it like 34-14 Lions. Looking at the past game, no.
And the
They're
Bears
going to win by like
better.
maybe less than 7.
Bears have been getting better throughout the
Mm-hmm.
past couple
Fields
of
is putting up numbers.
Yeah, it was. I was tempted to actually pick Chicago, but I'm
Yeah.
going to stick with Detroit.
And then, here we go. This is one of the interesting ones. Colts and Bengals. I have the Bengals winning this one.
I also have the Bengals winning because the Colts have one of the worst passing defenses,
Mhm.
and the Bengals have showed that they can still pass the ball with even
Browning.
Jake Browning in there.
Mhm.
If you just give Jamar Chase the ball, so
And Browning has made some dough after that game for sure. So, Jacksonville and the Cleveland Browns. That one's hard. If Lawrence does come back, and if it's not that bad of a sprain, I don't know how long he'll be out. But if he comes back for the game, I'm going to say Jaguars. If he doesn't come back, it is really hard to predict because the Browns haven't been great when considering offense. but I think I'm still gonna go with Jaguars still. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
I'm going.
It's hard to pick.
I'm
with
going
both
Jaguars
quarterbacks
either
out.
way because I think. Well, first of all, Beathard, who has not done well most of his career, actually came in and did
Yeah.
pretty well.
He did well on that last drive,
Um,
but overtime is overtime though.
both teams are playing with backups.
Yeah.
I don't know who the Browns are planning to start.
I think
but-
they were trying to start Flacco for the rest of the year, or at least there was a rumor that Flacco might be starting for the rest of the time until, some of their other quarterbacks get healed up. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'm going
Um,
Jaguars though.
Saints and Panthers. I have the Saints winning.
I have the Saints winning as well because all they literally have to do is use Taysom Hill like 10 times.
If you do not use Taysom Hill,
Well, even then,
you
it's
are
like
going to ruin the perfect tank. And the Panthers don't even have the number one pick. It's just they're just the worst tank ever. The best worst tank ever, if that makes sense.
I
It's
think it's the worst tank ever.
the
'cause
worst tank ever.
It would be the best worst tank ever if they had the first overall pick.
Okay, well,
But
yeah.
now it's just the
No,
worst tank.
first. Okay, that's fair.
So it's like,
Texans and Jets. I'm gonna say the Texans on that one because the Jets don't have an offense.
yeah, I'm going Texans.
I'm also going to make that a closer score, mostly because they just lost Tank Dell. And like you've said previous games, that the Jets have a pretty good defense. So I'm also going to ride on that coattail as well, that the Jets have a really good defense, and they're going to keep it close. Ravens and Rams.
Ravens.
Ravens. There's no way the Rams are winning. They're playing in Baltimore, and Baltimore just, rested. Because just statistically, teams that have a time to rest tend to do better. Typically, unless they rest too long. But Vikings and Raiders. This one is interesting. I'm gonna say the Vikings win this one, but it's not anywhere close, or it's not like a wide margin of victory. It is a very, very slim margin of victory. This is gonna come back to like the last drive, I think.
This was one that was hard to predict because both teams are kind of they were doing well for a bit, even in their like weakened state, but now they're starting to show the weaknesses.
Mm-hmm.
I think Justin Jefferson is coming back though, maybe.
Oh shoot, yeah, I think Jefferson's coming back.
And they named
So, I don't know.
Dobbs the starter.
Yeah, I think the Vikings might win that one, but like I said, very, very close. Last
Yeah,
drive.
it might be.
That's all it's going to take.
It might be closer than expected.
Um,
San Francisco, Seattle.
Niners.
Yeah, pretty easy.
I said 42-14.
That's fair. They've scored, I think, at least 30 in their last 3 or 4 matchups. So.
I mean, it's hard to not at least make them win, or at least predict them to win by at least 2 scores at this point, especially against teams like Seattle. Unless the Seahawks pull out like some miracle out of their butts, which I don't think that's ever happening, but prove me wrong. Bills and Chiefs.
I have Bills.
I have an upset with the Bills as well, because the Chiefs have been playing interestingly sloppy, especially as of late. The Bills are I can't tell if they're getting it together, but they've been using Allen correctly. That game against the Eagles kind of proved to me that Allen is like literally the key of do they win or do they not. So if Allen does well, I think the Bills win. Close game still.
Yeah.
Broncos and Chargers.
I have Broncos.
Broncos as well. Chargers are not winning that one. I'm going to say they lose by a score, though, because Chargers fashion. What?
By like 3.
Oh, by 3? Oh, yeah. It's either by a whole touchdown or a field goal. I don't know which one. Eagles and Cowboys.
Eagles.
I'm going to say Eagles, but there's a lot of factors going into it. So it's hard to choose which one wins this one. Mostly because if there was like 100 scenarios, I'd say it's like 50-50 down the mark. That, like, out of 100 games, if they were to play it repeatedly, Eagles would win half of them, and the Cowboys would win half of them. Because it's really hard to predict who would win. It's also a home game for Dallas, and Dallas has been undefeated at home. But here's the thing: they have not played good teams at home besides Seattle. So we'll see. I still pick Eagles by a field goal.
Yeah, I
But
think this one's
that's
still
about
going to
it.
be close, especially because that's how the Eagles play.
Yeah, it's usually Dolphins and Titans. Dolphins are winning by at least more than a touchdown.
Yeah.
There's no way that they're not. Giants and Packers. Packers are, yeah. I will laugh hysterically if the Giants end up beating the Packers. I think that would be genuinely funny, but I don't think that's going to happen.
I will be picking the Packers for the entire month of December.
They've been
because
undefeated in December.
They have been, under Matt LaFleur, are 12-0 in December.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to stick with that one. I like my...
Yeah, I'm going to stick with that one. I'm not going against that statistic, so. Yep.
Yeah, that's that. Other piece of news was Shaq Leonard joining the Eagles
Oh, yeah.
ahead of the Cowboys game. But
Yeah.
that caps off the Week 13 recap and the Week 14 preview.
Yep.
Correct? All right,
Mhm.
pretty cool. Yeah, that caps that off. I did want to look a little bit at some college football stuff,
Yes, I wanted to talk about that as well.
specifically playoffs, but also I want to point out one other thing that I noticed earlier today. Did you know that Minnesota made a bowl game at 5-7?
They did?
Playing Bowling Green.
I didn't realize Minnesota ended the season 5-7. I thought they were 6-6.
I think they lost. They lost to Wisconsin, which was what did them in. But that was their last loss. But yeah, they ended 5-7.
So they won't pick Nebraska, but they'll pick Minnesota that doesn't typically have a very great traveling fan base. If you want money, NCAA,
They
you want
have
the Huskers.
they have ways they select teams for
Yeah.
bowl games who don't
Which is fair.
meet
as
the
well.
6-6 quota. I just thought Nebraska was one of the teams that was higher on that list,
Yeah,
but
which is surprising, but
it might partially also
I'm-
be
I'm
how
also not
poorly
upset.
we've been in the past decade or whatever.
yeah.
So, but I just thought that was interesting.
I mean, I'm also not upset, mostly because
We didn't
this
deserve
year
it.
we
didn't
really
earn-
didn't deserve anything.
We didn't earn it. I want to earn it.
Yeah, I want to actually earn our place in a bowl game. I don't care if it's 6-6 or 7-5. I just want a bowl game, at least 1 year in my college career, so I can go and travel to it.
Yeah. The funny thing about that also was the fact that Minnesota ended last in the division.
Of course they did. Yeah, of
course
they did.
Let's see. They made it in over Illinois. I don't think Illinois was also 5-7. But they didn't make. I don't think they got a bowl game,
I don't think they did.
and Nebraska obviously didn't. But
No.
that was interesting.
Little news there.
And then obviously the big stuff coming out of the week was obviously the 4 teams to make the playoffs and the notably one team that didn't make the playoffs. We saw Michigan get the 1 seed. That was not surprising. 2 went to Washington, also not surprising with Georgia losing. I'm moving on. What was it Texas?
Texas and then Alabama.
Texas at 3 was surprising because
They don't deserve
They're
but Alabama also doesn't deserve 4.
The quality of their win was not as high. Like they won considerably, but against what number 16 Oklahoma State, Alabama at least beat Georgia. So
Like,
I think
that's a
I feel like
pretty
Alabama
decent,
should
like,
have been.
hey, here's our ticket to the playoffs, which is fine. I don't know. It's just
I think Alabama should at least been above Texas.
yes, but
Whether-
also I don't know. People are supporting like Texas being that high, and it's just like I understand it. I know they're fun to watch, but the teams this year haven't been, or at least outside of Washington and Michigan, their wins over like really good teams have been either inconsistent or there haven't been convincing enough. I feel like, but that's just me remembering in recent memory. I also have to look at stats and everything, who was playing, who wasn't. But Florida State not being in it makes sense because of Travis being injured and everything. But
it's such
It's disappointing.
bull though, because it's like for like the argument is literally, oh, they don't. It's not even that they don't deserve it because they went 13-0.
Yeah.
It's we don't think they're gonna do well, and it's like,
Well,
okay, but you put TCU in last year.
they don't want another Georgia TCU.
Okay, then they'll lose in the first round if that's the problem. Like,
Like if they're actually that bad, they'll lose in the first round, right?
yeah, your concern is the
But
championship.
I also agree with the argument. It's the better teams that deserve it, not the more deserving teams.
but then
'cause
that's
Alabama
like no,
is technic-
'cause
Alabama, I would say, is technically better than Florida State right now.
do you think Alabama? Do you think? How many of those teams do you think are better than Georgia right now, though?
Of the teams that are better than Georgia, I think the only team I can think that is possibly better than Georgia is Michigan. But even then, I think Alabama just got lucky. I think that's what happened.
Yeah,
Georgia was also trailing that entire game, which is something that you see here and there, but it's very rare in recent memory. But them dropping that far was kind of surprising.
yeah, and
Like, I didn't think they would drop to that, especially over other teams. But
it's
I think Georgia kind of got robbed, but I also understand it. So
it's also the other thing I'm gonna have that I have. Oh man, I just completely lost my point. Another point is like, you're like, oh yeah, you don't want Florida State in the playoffs, yet you're still having them go up against Georgia in a bowl game,
yeah,
and clearly they just don't care as much about bowl games anymore. But
no, they just want the playoffs, which is fair because I actually enjoy the playoffs if they're actually good teams.
the playoffs are just it's a good structure.
Yeah, well, not the current bracket, but I think
Well, just playoffs in general.
the playoffs in general. I think an 8-team playoffs would be pretty cool.
It's
I
just
don't-
what they are moving to.
There are people who are like, well, just make it a 16 playoff. No 16 teams. An 8-team playoff bracket sounds really nice because otherwise you're just forcing a lot of bad teams to go up against, really good teams.
But then
Just-
you'd see it'd be like essentially the equivalent of like March Madness, which
yeah, I don't want a March Madness in football though.
but like here's the thing, where I need to look at the rankings and see what it would look like if you had so if it was an 8-team playoff, which I think this would be good. Like
Mhm.
don't this would be like really good. You'd have Michigan, Oregon, Washington, Ohio State, Texas, Georgia, and Alabama, Florida State.
I think that would be pretty interesting.
And I think all 8 of those teams are teams you could
Deserve-
argue
yeah, they
could
deserve
be
it.
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
If you do a 16-team one though, you have Michigan, Notre Dame, which is like, but it's like again, Notre Dame could pull off that upset.
Could is the key word.
Washington, Louisville. Again, Louisville's pretty good. They could do it. Texas, Arizona. Arizona has been very good with good opponents. Alabama, LSU.
Okay, that's an interesting matchup though.
There's a good one. Florida State, Oklahoma.
Okay.
You got that. You got Georgia, Ole Miss, Ohio State, Penn State, and Oregon, Missouri. And it's like, now, you're about one team away from a really bad matchup, and that Iowa was 17th, Iowa was 16th. But then again,
Yeah, I
You
would
just
have
also-
been smoked regardless. But
it's
that's just my opinion.
16 would make it. It would be like a more March Madness-y feel, where it's like, you don't expect the 16 to beat the 1, but it could happen, or
Yeah.
it's that sort of like madness feel to it.
Mhm.
If you just wanted like pure like good football for every single round, I think 1 to 8 is probably what an 8-team one. 4 just seems too limiting because, well, obviously not going forward, but like in years past, is like you have a Power 5. You can't fit every single Power 5 division winner in a 14 playoff race,
That's true.
even if all of them went undefeated.
That's the other thing. I don't know.
So you do 8, and it's like, Oregon, who is probably the best 2-loss team here, Ohio State, who lost a game to the best team in the league and missed out, which I'm happy, but like, they
Yeah.
could arguably deserve a chance. And then there's Georgia, who only lost 1 game in a championship, and they miss out completely. And then there's Florida State, which is like, less people are going to be upset if that's an 8-team playoff race.
Yeah.
But then again, it's an 8-team. If it's an 8-team playoff race, does Florida State drop all the way to 5, or do you think that Florida State drops to 5 just because they wanted to kick them out of the playoffs? Do you think they legitimately went? These are the best teams 1 through 5, and Florida
Yeah.
State falls at 5, or do you think it was Florida State doesn't belong here, so we're going to put them at the highest spot where they're not in, and then we're going to fill in 3 and 4?
I'm gonna say the latter, mostly because it's just, I don't know.
It's just I don't like how it was done.
I don't like it either. It's more of a, I get the reasoning, but I also don't get it. Like, an undefeated team deserves to be in the playoffs, regardless of what it is. But they've adapted. That's another argument. Is they adapted with the quarterbacks they have.
Yeah, and they still won, and
They
have
still won.
a good team in college football doesn't ride purely off of their quarterback. And this was another thing, is someone was like, "Oh yeah, if this was Alabama that was going through this, 13-0, but don't have your starting Heisman quarterback."
That's okay. You're still in.
Alabama would have been in.
Yeah, because the NCAA likes the SEC, specifically Alabama.
And I've
It's
seen people
just-
try and make excuses for the college football playoff committee as to why they would do that, and it's like, you really don't have one. It's
No,
kind of just
it's hard.
state,
I
but
don't know. It's just, can we just be consistent about planning this stuff, please? And thank you.
just move it to 8, and then it'll be,
I think an 8-team playoffs would be
because then the teams like the quote unquote first teams out are going to be teams like Missouri, Penn State, and Ole Miss, and it's like I think the only team that might or deserve an argument for being in there would be like Oklahoma, all the way down at 12, and it's like, other than that, yeah, if you had a playoff with Michigan, Washington, Texas, Alabama, Florida State, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, I'd be like,
yeah, that's a good.
That'd be-
good year. Good year.
that'd be a good playoff.
Yeah.
But no, you have to keep it at 4.
we gotta keep. Well, it's gonna change though next year. I think.
Yeah.
So.
Which is why I'm excited, but I'm like also,
Good
are you
third.
gonna have this good of a top 8 next year?
I don't know. We'll see.
Bo Nix is gonna be gone. Marvin Harrison's gonna be gone.
When the next wave of great quarterbacks come in, I think we'll be fine. But that's just my stance, though.
I'll get out of here though.
So thank you for joining us again for this week's recap and predictions. We have no consistency whether we're going to post videos as soon as possible because we are college students and we are busy. This is finals week, so I will be free eventually. Same with you. And you will actually have a voice this time around. Hopefully. I would hope by next week.
Oh yeah, it should be back by next week.
Hopefully. Well, we'll see. All right, we'll see you guys later. See you.
Bye.
Ah.